I made a budget once, a good one: rent 30%, household 40, savings and everything fun the last 30. It lasted about 3 weeks. Not because I was undisciplined, because a budget is a promise you make to yourself once and then have to keep 300 times a month, and nobody wins that fight forever. Here's what actually worked, and it wasn't a better budget. The budget I actually made. Let me tell you about the budget because it wasn't stupid. It was the normal advice and I followed it. 30% for rent, 40 for the household, utilities, phone, food, clothes, all the keeping the lights on stuff, and 30% for everything else, savings included. On paper that works. On paper I saved every month. On paper I was fine. I bought a special spiral notebook specifically for my budget. This notebook was hidden in the locked closet in my bedroom. And then real life showed up. My car needed some major repairs. The 30% that was supposed to include savings, that's the part that gets eaten first. Always. Because it's the only part with no bill attached, nothing forces it, so it's the first thing that gives. Why, it wasn't your fault. Here's the part nobody tells you, and it's the whole reason budgets fail. A budget asks you to make the right call every single time money leaves your hand. Every coffee, every tank of gas, it's just $20. That's not one decision. That's hundreds of decisions a month, and every one of them is a small argument between the person you want to be and the person standing in the store right now. Willpower is a battery. It drains. By the end of a long day, the disciplined version of you has clocked out, and the version that's tired and wants the thing is the one holding the card. So when the budget breaks, and it always breaks, you don't conclude the budget was badly designed. You conclude you are the problem. You're not disciplined enough. You're bad with money. You're not. You were handed a system that only works if you win an argument with yourself several times a day forever. Nobody wins that. The system was never going to hold, and it wasn't built to. The thing that actually worked. So here's what worked, and I want to be honest about how boring it is because the boringness is the point. I took $50 a week off the top before the check ever hit my hands. My employer sent it straight into a separate savings account. I never saw it. It never landed in my checking, so I never had the chance to spend it, never had to decide not to spend it. And here's the detail that made it work. That account was a pain to get money out of. I opened a savings account in a banking institution other than my regular bank. It was located quite some distance from home, and then I made sure I declined a debit card for the account. So in order to withdraw money, I would have to go into the bank in person. The friction was the whole point. If it had been one tap away, I'd have rated it the first bad week. Because it wasn't, I didn't. $50 a week, I didn't track it, I didn't budget it, I didn't feel it after the first month. And it did something the spreadsheet never managed. It actually accumulated. That's pay yourself first, and you've probably heard the phrase. But everyone says it like it's about priority: save before you spend. That's not why it works. It works because it removes the decision. You can't fail to save money you never had the chance to touch. There's no willpower involved because there's no moment where willpower is required. Why this flips the whole idea. Once I understood that, the whole thing turned inside out. A normal budget puts saving last. It's whatever survives after the month, which is nothing because nothing survives the month. It's structurally last in line behind every bill and every impulse. Pay yourself first puts it first, automatic, off the top, gone before you can touch it, and then it does something that sounds too good to be true. It lets you spend the rest however you want. Guilt-free, no tracking. Because the only number that ever actually mattered was the gap between what comes in and what goes out. Once you've automated that gap, protected it, sent it somewhere you can't easily reach, the rest is genuinely yours. You don't need to feel bad about the coffee. The saving already happened this morning without you. That's the trick. Stop budgeting the money you save. Automate it away and stop budgeting the rest at all. The honest LMITS. Now, this only works if one thing is true. You have to have a gap. More coming in than going out, even a small amount. If you're spending more than you earn, $50 a week off the top just lands you in overdraft, and that's a different rung. That's rung 1, and I made a whole video about it. And start smaller than you think. 50 was my number years in. If 50 a week would hurt, start at 10. The amount is not the point. The automation is the point. $10 you never see beats 100 you have to choose to save and never do. The goal isn't to find the perfect number today. It's to build the one system that doesn't depend on you being disciplined tomorrow. So if you failed at budgeting, and if you're honest, you probably have, most people have, I want you to hear this. It wasn't a discipline problem. It was a design problem. You were fighting a fight nobody wins. Stop budgeting harder, automate the gap, protect it behind a little friction, and spend the rest without the guilt. If you don't know what your gap even is, what's actually coming in versus going out, that's the first thing to find out, and I built a free thing that tells you. 9 questions under 2 minutes, no sign up. It reads your own numbers back to you and tells you which rung you're on. Most people find out their gap is bigger than they feared, or that they had one all along and were just never protecting it. Either way, you want to know the real number before you automate anything. Links in the description. Start at the bottom. It's the only place any of us start.